Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, My Sexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, covering dating, life, love, confidence, relationships, and so much more. So hit the subscribe button and the bell icon right now. So have you ever been in a situation where you're unsure of if a relationship is stable or unstable? And maybe you've had some difficulties because the person was blaming you for things and you're like, oh my God, am I going crazy? Like, what does a stable relationship look like? Well, I'm in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club. And if you don't know who Matthew Hussey is, he's the world's top love coach. His channel has got over 3 million subscribers, and he's had over 500 million views. And he's been helping people with dating and relationships for 17 years. So I'm in his Love Life Club. I'm learning a lot from him. I can't divulge the information in his club because I'm not allowed to, but I am learning a lot and obviously becoming a wiser person. So I'll be a wiser person for you. So I want to take you to a quote now in Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual book. If you haven't yet got a copy of this, grab a copy on Amazon. This was before I joined Matthew's club. Life lesson 23. You can't feel stable in a relationship with an unstable person. Read that again. You can't feel stable in a relationship with an unstable person. If someone doesn't know what they want and is up and down with their emotions, wants, needs, and desires, then your relationship with them is going to be like a roller coaster of emotions and feel like it's constantly going up and down and is out of control because you don't know where you stand with that person and what's going on a day-to-day basis. So this is very unstable. So yes, the Indian guy and all the other so-called friends who have left my life and had unstable emotions to the point of where there is not enough stability, certainty, and predictability to know where you stand with them and their life, and they are not prepared to change themselves to improve the situation, have done me extreme favor by leaving my own life. I need stability and certainty, not cloudiness, ungratefulness, and an unwillingness to discuss things we both need to improve upon together to make the friendship relationship work better as a team. So whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, you need to be getting someone who's a team player, because a relationship is a team. You cannot do it all alone. So as you've noticed, an unstable relationship or an unstable person in a relationship is not going to make that relationship good for you. So the qualities, if you like, or traits of an unstable relationship is one which is up and down, because you might know what you want, you might be very clear on it, but that person may chop and change their mind. So you can't have stability without clarity. If you don't know where you stand with the person, you are not going to feel good in that relationship. You're going to feel unstable. The relationship needs direction. It needs an aim. It needs a goal. It needs to be going somewhere. Otherwise, you're like wandering round in a lost maze, or wandering around in a maze where you're lost, should I say, So if the person that you're looking to have a friendship with or get into a relationship with, or maybe you're already in one, if they have cloudiness, so you can't totally understand what they're talking about or where they're going in their life, if they have ungratefulness and unwillingness to talk to you about things, this is not going to be a healthy relationship for you, because you have to, in any relationship, be able to have open, honest communication. And if that person's not willing to have conversations with you and wants to avoid them, this is not going to be a stable relationship for you. So someone who blows hot and cold, 1 minute they're super into you, the next minute you don't really hear from them much, is not going to be a good person for you, because they're going to blow hot and cold. They're going to give you like a dopamine hit and then take it away again. Dopamine hit and take it away again. This is something that some bad male dating coaches teach other guys to do. If you want to play with a woman's heart and keep her on a string, basically, you like text her loads and then stop. Message her, then stop. Like breadcrumb her on purpose, which is supposed to like throw you off and derail you, so that you don't know what's going on, and therefore that's supposed to make them more enticing. Well, if you have a stable person, that stable person is not going to be enticed by someone who's blowing hot and cold. They're going to get bored with them. They're going to be like, I can't be doing with this. It's just too confusing. It's too stressful. And they're not going to want to be in that relationship anymore. So in order for a relationship to be stable, as I said here, there has to be a feeling of stability. There has to be certainty and predictability. And there has to be consistency over time. Right? Consistency, I've learned, is the most important thing in terms of behavior, other than it matching their words. So the behavior has to match their words, and it has to be consistent. Now, if it's good behavior consistently, then that's great. But if it's bad behavior consistently and there's a pattern of it, then that needs to be addressed. You need to have a conversation with that person and say, this behavior is not making me happy. I'm not feeling good. This is not what I want. This doesn't match my needs. And if that person can't match those needs, then you'll need to split up, right? Because you can't accept less than you deserve. And so you need to be able to have these discussions and conversations with the person. But if the person doesn't want to talk to you and is shut down, you can't go through life having a relationship with that, like that, right? Because every time a difficult conversation comes up, or every time you want to say something to that person, you're going to feel you can't say something to that person, that there's just no use. And how can you spend like years of your life with someone who won't talk to you, who won't come to an amicable agreement, arrangement, compromise with you, who won't be reasonable with you? So if the person like is super into you and they're not into you, they're up and down with their behavior, that's going to make anyone anxious, right? Anyone, regardless of whether you've got an anxiety condition or not, that's going to produce like some uncertainty in you, some anxiety, and the person should be making you feel the opposite. They should be reassuring you that they want to be with you, whether that's in a friendship or relationship. They should be making you feel like you're cherished and loved and adored. They should be looking out for you. They should have their best you in their best interest. They should be supporting you. They should be making you feel worth something, If the person is making you feel worthless, if every time you try to talk to them about a difficult situation or something that you don't like about their behavior, they turn it on you. This is often known as gaslighting. When you go to them about a problem and they make you in the wrong, you should be able to go to your partner or friend and say about a difficulty you've got with them, and they should be able to address it with you. Also, look for the behavior. Have they got controlling behavior? Do they, like not want to bother with you in terms of if you're in financial difficulties, you're in really struggle, maybe your health's not good and lots of other things. Do they not want to bother with you? And then, one day they go around saying, oh, I'll look after you, can come and live with me. That's usually to control you. So you have to depend on them and rely on their money. Because if they're not even interested in helping you out when you've not got much money, or you've got a problem with your money, but then all of a sudden they want you to move in with them in order to get money from them, that's like a control thing, right? So you need to watch out for controlling, manipulative behavior, because you can't be stable in yourself and feel a great sense of peace if that person is making you question your worth, if that person is manipulating you, if that person is only there for you when it benefits them. And if they're into fantasizing with you rather than the reality of the everyday situation. So if they can't deal with you at your worst, well, I'm not talking about you being an abusive. relationship. I'm not talking about if, at your worst, let someone off the hook who's abusive. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is in general life, people get sick. In general life, people get depression. In general life, people don't always feel good. People can't always be high energy. People can't always be awake all the time. Sometimes you feel tired. Sometimes you feel lethargic. Sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I just want to cuddle that person. Sometimes you just feel off, you know what I mean? And if a person can't handle those things about you when you're at your worst like that, then they don't deserve to have you at your best. A relationship isn't always going to be moonlight and roses, just like a friendship isn't, right? And they need to be able to handle these, they need to be able to handle the situation. They need to be able to understand you and the difficulties you might face, right? They shouldn't be making you feel a burden or like they're doing you a favor by being with you. This is like very bad behavior from them. This isn't good. They should be caring and kind consistently and persistently. They should have good character traits. That means being very honest, being faithful, being kind, being caring, considerate of your feelings, not wanting you to feel uncomfortable, wanting to put your mind at ease. These characteristics. If the person is like, 1 minute super into you, then the next minute not, this is not good. There's no stability there. If the person ends up having, for example, a guy ends up with female friends and he's like flirting with them, that's no good for you. There's a difference between having female friends and flirting with them, right? And if a guy is, like texting his ex and stuff like this, and you're not comfortable with it, that's not okay, right? Because they should have moved on from their ex, and you should be the most important thing in their life in terms of like a relationship, because you're the one they're with now. They're not with their ex anymore. So you need to take these things into consideration, right? We need to look for consistency and patterns of behavior over time. So good patterns of behavior would be like they text regularly at the same sorts of times. They phone you at the same sorts of times. They consistently want to arrange dates with you. They consistently want to be enthusiastic to see you. They consistently like to see you. When you talk to them, they want to hear from you. They're excited you're in their inbox. They're excited to be calling you. They consistently say they love you, and that actions match their words. So you begin to see a stable picture of them over time. But if the pattern of consistency is, when times get tough, they consistently are not there for me. When I'm going through a really difficult time and crying emotionally, they can't deal with it. So they avoid talking to me about what I'm upset about. If they are aloof, or 1 minute they're like messaging you multiple times throughout the day, the next day they're barely messaging you, up and down behavior. They should have stable behavior, as in the text should be very similar times they text you. It should be like, they should be keeping you informed as well of what's happening with them. So if they're going to be late to see you or late to a call, they should be having good communication skills and communicating that effectively to you. They shouldn't be just leaving you to hang around, right? And so I think that it's important for you to be able to recognize when you're dealing with a stable person and an unstable person. Ask yourself these questions like, are you consistent in your behavior? Are you predictable in your behavior? Are you saying or doing the same sorts of things consistently all the time? If you are, then you're basically a stable person. But if you ask yourself, like, is my behavior erratic? So am I messaging this person, then not messaging them for 3 days? This is like if you're dating or in a relationship, right? Am I talking to that person, saying how much I'm into them, then 3 days later, I'm not even interested in speaking to them. Am I really enthusiastic to see them? Then the next time I can't be bothered. So you need to look at your own behavior and actions and see if you've got erratic, unstable behavior, or if your behavior is good, right? Someone who's not really into someone is someone who's got erratic behavior, or they've got problems, they've got difficulties they need to sort out and address, right? So there should be consistency over time. There should be behavior that's over time. Either it'll be good behavior over time consistently, or you could be dealing with someone who's unstable that's got bad behavior over time. So they might have been great on the first week, and they might have been so good to you and so nice and so sweet and so kind and so caring, empathetic, like your dream person very early on in the relationship. Could be a week, could be a few weeks, could even be a few months. Then all of a sudden their behavior changes and they go cold. And you're like, what happened? What did I do? Because you think it's you. But it's, if you didn't change your behavior, if you didn't change your actions, and you didn't change what you do, then it's not you. It's them that's changed. Them that's become cold. Them that's become distant. That's not your fault. That's on them. And that would make anyone question what was going on. Right? You feel disorientated. You feel disconnected because what's going on? You expect good behavior to continue. You expect good behavior to carry on. You don't expect them to be empathetic, kind, caring, loving, sharing things with you, providing a safe space for you. Then all of a sudden, they don't do that anymore. They're unempathetic. When you try to talk to them, you think it's okay because they were safe before to talk to you. You find they clam up. They avoid situations. They don't want to speak to you. They no longer share so much with you. They become distant and cold, less messaging, less into you, unless you're doing something for them. Then they'll more likely be into you when they're getting something out of it. But love isn't like that, Someone shouldn't be giving you, for example, a back massage and then saying, oh, right, you need to give me one now. It shouldn't be a case of they're doing something for you just to get something back and out of you. They should do something because they genuinely care about you. Are they wanting to help you out? Are they wanting to make your life less painful, less hurtful, less miserable? Are they wanting to make your life feel better? And are they wanting to make you feel more comfortable and at ease? What's going on? That's what you need to ask yourself. So always remember this quote from the Diary Confessions book is you can't feel stable in a relationship with an unstable person. Right? And life lesson 24, any type of relationship requires teamwork. You can't work together in any type of relationship as a team, be that a friendship or a romantic relationship, where only one player is playing in that team and doing all of the work or the majority of it. So if you are the one that's texting more than them, if you are the one that is arranging dates more, the majority of the time, if you're the one pushing the relationship forward, if you're the one instigating the phone calls, instigating the texts all the time, instigating the video calls, if you're the one driving the relationship forward and keep it going, I want you to ask yourself, why? If they're not bothering with you, why bother anymore with them? And yeah, I get it, because you love them. And that is really hard. But we have to eventually recognize and realize this person is not putting that much effort in anymore. And if they're not putting that much effort anymore, why are we reciprocating? Because we deserve to have reciprocation. We deserve for the person to be as into us as we are into them. We deserve for the person to be as enthusiastic to see us as we are to see them. We deserve a person who is excited to see us, who's pleased to see us, who wants to text us, who wants to audio call with us, who wants to arrange dates, who wants to see us, right? We want to feel needed, loved, wanted, and special. If you're making the other person feel that way, but they're not making you feel that way, or maybe sometimes they are and other times they're not, this is not a stable person for you to be in a relationship with. You need to have someone who you feel comfortable around, but who wants to be in their life with you, just like you want to be in the life with them as much as they do with you. We should be looking for a lot more equality in relationships rather than one-sidedness. This means, like, someone is equally putting time, energy, effort in to the relationship, not just one person. This means that sometimes they're the ones doing the video calls first, not just you. They're the ones saying, let's put a date in the diary for when we can next see each other. Like, what are you doing on such and such a date? Are you free? Let's go for it. Let's arrange this. Let's book the transport and hotel now. Let's go away together. Let's plan for the future and stick to that plan. Let's actually take action on that plan. If the person is not driving the relationship forward with you, you're ending up not being a part of this team that I've talked about. You can't be part of a team if only one person is playing in that team. A relationship takes two players, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship. If the other person is checked out and they're not really into, conversing with you anymore, they're not really that into speaking to you as much, they're not really paying you that much attention anymore. If you haven't changed your behavior and what you do, but they were super into you before and messaging you and everything seemed fine, then that's a behavior on their part that they need to address. But if they won't address it and they're just like, oh, whatever, or I'm busy or anything like that, which is a brush off and dismissing your feelings and not dealing with them head on, then they're not going to be stable for you to be in a relationship with, whether that be a friendship or romantic relationship, because you're not going to be able to rely on them. You're not going to be able to trust them. Reliability shows you're trustworthy, right? Reliability comes from consistency over time, comes from consistent actions, right? If the person is doing some actions for a long period of time, but then all of a sudden they stop, it might be that the dynamics of your relationship has changed, and that can be so painful. Especially if you're used to that person doing stuff for you, then all of a sudden they just stop doing that. And you can question, like, what did I do wrong? But if your behavior was the same and theirs is the one that changed, then you have to question, like, what's gone on. Of course, you should be having an open, honest conversation about that. Of course, you should be trying to find a resolution together. But, something could have happened that they've changed their mind about you. It could be something that's going on in their life, but it could also definitely be that they've changed their mind about you or the relationship. You know what I mean? So investigate it. But if they are not accepting your feelings, accepting that it's not good for you or healthy and it's not stable for you, and they're not prepared to do anything about it, you have to leave. Liam. Hi, Liam. Hi, sweetheart Sandra. Lots of love to you. Appreciate you. So, I'm realizing, obviously, that the last relationship I was in was very unstable for me personally, and that's why I got huge anxiety induced. And then the person, tried to make me wrong about my anxiety, but I didn't change my behavior or attitude. They're the ones who changed it, right? And I can't be, like I said, or anyone can't be stable in a relationship with someone who's like hot and cold, like super into you, and then acting like they're not that interested. Do you know what I mean? And saying one thing they're going to do, but not following through on it. And that actions don't always match their words. They're saying one thing and saying the other, which is causing confusion. So if they contradict themselves a lot, then you can't be stable in a relationship with a contradictory person, because you don't know what the hell the truth is. So this makes it an unstable relationship. You need someone who's honest, direct, straight down the line, says what they mean, means what they say, and their actions support their words. Right? It's easy to say, oh, I love you, but if you don't show it through actions, then it means nothing, sadly. How many people do you know who are in toxic relationships? This could be even friendships or family dynamics where someone goes, oh, I love you, but yet they abuse that person. They abuse their trust, they abuse them physically or mentally or emotionally or otherwise, but they still say, but I love you. Like, love and abuse don't go together. Oh, you might think you love someone, but it's an unhealthy, toxic love. If you think you love someone, but you want to hurt them, or you continue to hurt them, and you show no remorse, and you lie, and maybe you cheat or you steal or whatever you do to them, or you make them unbalanced so that they don't think it's you that's a problem, they think it's them. Unfortunately, they can be people who are manipulative in the world, and they try to make you feel unbalanced by confusing you. And so this can make you feel really destabilized. And when someone makes you feel destabilized is when they can control you more, because you question your own sanity, you question your own reality, and you question yourself. Now, when you question yourself, they've got control over you because you are worried that you might be the one in the wrong. And, you're more subjective or able to be subjected, should I say, to their control, their manipulation. Because if they've destabilized you by doing inconsistent behaviors, by doing unstable behaviors, by 1 minute being into you, the next minute not, 1 minute saying this is our future together, the next minute saying, oh no, I can't see that future for us anymore. 1 minute saying, oh, I'm going to move to you, the next minute saying, no, I can't move. 1 minute saying, I'm going to go to this, start this career, which is going to be great for us, but no, I've changed my mind now on that career. All this type of thing is just so confusing. It's destabilizing. It's just a nightmare. And it can make you feel very unstable, very unsure. And if you love the person and got emotional attachment to them, it can be heartbreaking because you're like, what the hell is going on? I love this person, but I don't know where I'm coming or going. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know where we're headed. I don't know what this relationship is anymore, because I was feeling great and now I'm just feeling shit, excuse my language. And you could be so miserable. You don't even totally know why. You're like, something's happened. You feel that something's happened, their behavior or attitudes changed, but you still don't fully know. And sometimes people are so unclear with themselves. They're so unaware of their own behavior and their own thoughts, feelings, emotions, or they're blocking them out, that they are unstable. Liam, if you hurt someone, you couldn't love them. Yes, I agree, Liam. Anyone intentionally hurts someone, exactly. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, the last person, the ex I was with, did hurt me, was lying and deceiving me, which is really horrible. I mean, I don't even do that to people I don't like, I don't go around lying. I just don't do that and deceiving. They gave me a false sense of security and a false sense of hope. But looking back on that relationship, it was so unstable in the end for me. I was so anxiety induced and stressed out, but they tried to turn that on me and say that I was a problem because of my anxiety. But the reason I was anxious is because of that unstable behavior, which isn't my fault. I didn't change my behavior. I was always honest with them. I was always the same with them. I never changed. It was them that changed their behavior and their attitude, and and it was just so confusing by the end of it. So it wasn't good in the end. But they were the opposite in the beginning. Heather, you're a good friend. Oh, lots of love, Heather. I appreciate you. I always love you being here. Thank you so much. I love your kind words. I do appreciate them a lot. It means a lot to me to have your friendship. I so appreciate you. And yeah, so, I realized like the relationship I was in, as much as I loved the person and still have feelings for that guy, it was so unstable for me. And, and I did even say to him at times, whether I've got anxiety or not, still the way you are, your behavior is wrong. You shouldn't be like that. It's not good. So, I think it's horrible when someone turns the situation on you, and at the end of the day, it would have made anyone anxiety induced. the way he was with me in the end, because it's like a completely different turnaround. It's just not nice. But I'm learning more and more about the situation since I've joined Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club, and I hear different people's experiences in that club and can relate to some of it. There was someone on Facebook, one of my Facebook friends yesterday, I'm not going to say who they are, and they posted about this guy they've been with 2 years, and they're actually the younger one. They're 25, and their partner they've been with, boyfriend, is 40. So whereas in the last relationship, I was the older person and that person was younger. In the scenario on my Facebook friend, they're the younger one and the other person's older, but the younger person is much more mature than the older person, and the guy's behavior is very similar to my ex's. Very, very similar. And I'm like, oh shoot. Like, and it was very interesting reading comments about what they thought about this guy, and I'm like, oh right, yes. Like, this kind of confirms the fact that the relationship that went, wasn't his behavior, definitely wasn't my fault. My ex's, it's not my responsibility, it's behavior. And really, I believe everything happens for a reason. So I believe was destined to be in that relationship because I'm spiritual. But I believe the lessons, it's been very painful. I believe the life lessons is I need to probably discover my own self-worth a lot more and realize that when someone's displaying behaviors that aren't good, probably to not accept them and leave that relationship sooner if that's what's going to happen. Obviously, I'm not going to just jump into a relationship again, I hope, ever, because I did get into a relationship really quickly with that person, which wasn't my own advice. I didn't take my own advice, so I learned from that. I do know people that have been in relationships quickly and had success. So I don't think every relationship that's quick is not successful. I don't think there's no relationships like that exist. But I came to understand that a lot of the character traits that guy had was not matching my values at all. And so really we weren't compatible. There was obviously the instability was bad for me. And they're just completely different morals. Completely different morals, and so very, very uncompatible in terms of physical appearance with each other, in terms of like physicality, chemistry, if you like, hugely compatible. But as I'm learning, like, the physical compatibility component of a relationship is not the most important thing. Character traits are the most important thing, the kindness, the honesty, the compassion, all these really good character traits. And that's what I need to like be thinking about more than the chemistry, especially as a hyper romantic. As a hyper romantic, I do get a lot of chemistry with certain guys to do with kissing. Obviously, if I kiss a guy in club, really it's a lot better for me because I don't tend to get attached to those guys. I can kiss, enjoy that, and go home. Which is probably going to be much better for me. But in terms of like relationship, I need to find out a lot more about the guy, and his character traits first. But the thing is guys can be on their best behavior, just like women can, any gender. Swap this out for any gender, because often, people that aren't good later on in relationships, they can display their best traits because they're trying to impress the person. They are trying to chase them and get the person. But it's once that person's got you, it's like, how did they behave then? And are they grateful for what they've got, or do they just take it for granted then? And it was all about the chase, because as I'm learning, there's certain people that love the chase. They love the excitement, they love the chemistry of the chase. Then when the chase is over and they've got the person, that's when they start treating them not well and take them for granted. And that's happened to me. And it isn't good. It isn't nice, just because someone might be they were in a relationship with me, doesn't mean to say they should take me for granted, which is why I actually said to my ex, and I said, I'm in a relationship with you, but I need to feel good in that relationship. I told you when I agreed to be in a relationship with you that I would only stay in that relationship with you if I was feeling good, and I'm not feeling good anymore, and he knew why. And then he said he saw it out, but didn't. It's not that he wasn't capable in the sense of knowing what needed to be fixed, and he just didn't want to do it, basically. And because, in my mind, he's a lot more disorganized than I am and not good at time management. And it's rude to turn up to video dates late and not even message or anything like that. It's just rude, and so it's not good behavior. And I'm learning a lot in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club. I have to say that his brother Stephen's amazing as well. we had live coaching tonight, and I didn't get any direct coaching this time. The last 2 weeks I've had direct coaching with Matthew and his wife. Once I was actually on a live call with them in front of the group, and the other time it was a message I put in the chat and they responded to it. But this week there was other people, and I can't reveal what happened, but there was this woman that was in a very difficult circumstance, and Matthew's brother Stephen Hussey was doing the coaching today, and his coaching was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it in my life to do with dating and relationships. Never. Matthew Hussey's actual channel does not do him justice compared to his Love Life Club. The quality of information, of logical, practical advice in his Love Life Club and all the courses and everything is just off the scale, incredibly good. I have never, ever seen such high level coaching where they can take some person who doesn't really want to admit to themselves that the relationship isn't good that they're in, and they're blinded by love, if you know what I mean, or they love the person so much they don't want to think bad of the person. But seeing how they turn the situation around to get the person to understand that they weren't being treated right and they're worth more than the treatment they're getting, how they did that very, very carefully with very much delicacy and like strategy and stuff. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I'm so proud to be in the Love Life Club. I cannot rave enough about it. To me, the level and quality of skills and experience they've got in there that they're passing on to me and everyone else in the club is just another level entirely. I have never known it. I mean, I have never known people to be able to coach so well that whatever problem the coaches come up, whatever I was going to say the coaches come up with, but I meant the audience, the Love Life Club members, whatever problem we bring to a coach, like where it's Matthew, his wife, or his brother, they've always got an answer for it. And the last person that was on the Love Life Club live, which is very difficult circumstances, I mean, the level of coaching was off the Richter scale good. I've never seen anything like it because it was a very difficult situation that we're dealing with very, very difficult circumstances that we hope no one would go through, And so it's like shockingly good. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm learning, a lot about the past relationship I was in, which wasn't healthy for me in the end. It's not my fault, My fault that I stayed in the relationship too long. Basically, my fault that I didn't really fully appreciate my own worth enough to get out of it. But I'm kind of like I need to change what I'm doing, don't I? It's hard because obviously, like people can change. Some people do make mistakes. So I think it becomes difficult when, like how many mistakes can you allow them to have? You know what I mean? Because the trouble is, if they keep making mistakes, even if they say sorry for them, if it's constantly disrespecting you, it's no good. But in the case of my ex, he used to take responsibility for things and then stopped doing that, So, and instead was turning it around on me. So it's not good, and I am so happy that I'm in the Love Life Club learning all about this learning about my experiences through other people's eyes, if you know what I mean. Because a lot of the people in the Love Life Club have similar stories, similar situations, but not exactly the same. They all have kind of a common theme where the person is not treating them right, is not giving them what they need, is not matching their needs. And I love the way that those are addressed in coaching. And it's like, it's okay to have needs. It's okay to state your needs. It's okay to say this is what you want. But if the other person can't match it, then you have to say, okay, then you're not for me because this situation isn't making me happy. My needs aren't getting met. So I can't stay in this situation with you. And if you are saying you can't match my needs, that's okay, but we need to not be together anymore. And when you put it in the perspective of thinking, with this person, what would it be like if they're not matching your needs now? What would it be like in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time? Do you want to live a life like that where you're unhappy? Of course you don't. And that was the kind of the situation in the end with my ex. I wasn't happy, and I said it's not sustainable. I even told him that it's not sustainable. I said I can't be anxiety induced like this, can't be stressed out. I need to feel connected to you when I'm not with you still, and I don't feel that anymore. It's unsustainable for me. I can't live like that. I can't function like that. And I do think, it's hard when you are very romantic and you're emotionally attached to a person. It's really not easy. And some of us do make mistakes again and again and again. A lot. Even people that know these things are wrong still end up not being able to see them as much, or not wanting to see them, because love does blind us to reality. Love does make us do crazy things. Love does make us kind of accept things we shouldn't accept, and it's hard to reprogram yourself. You've got years of conditioning, years of programming. There's so much romanticism to do with relationships, but the reality of them can be very different. And so we must always try to remember the reality, but it is hard, because if someone was everything you thought they'd be in the beginning of the relationship and then they change, that's like, wow, I had that, but now it's gone. And you're always trying to get it back. You're always trying to think, oh, they'll come back to being that way. They'll be that person again for me. They'll be that really nice person. But usually that doesn't happen. Usually things just get worse. And you keep hoping for the past. So what we have to try and do is focus on the present moments in the relationship and the future. And if the present moments in the future are not good, and they've changed their behavior attitude, so this is what we're dealing with in reality of now, not what we're dealing with in the past anymore. This is the reality now. We then have to address the issues going on in the reality now, not the person in the past that's not they're not that person anymore. That person in the past is gone, even though they are that person, if you know what I mean. The way they're behaving in that scenario is gone. Even years ago, when I was in a very long-term relationship, in total last long-term ex of 8.5 years, and it was an abusive relationship. What actually happened is I was with the person for a year and a half. We split up for 6 months, and then I got back together with that person, which I shouldn't have done. And so I had 7 more years of misery, but worse than before. So the first 3 weeks of getting back into a relationship, after the 6-month break, it was like, oh, I'll be better, I love you, miss you, can't live without you, and all the rest of it, which obviously is a red flag. But it was like that. And for the first 3 weeks it was good, and then they went back to the way they were before with me, which is bad, but they went there worse. And why did they get worse? Because they think you've gone back to them. They can treat you how they want. You're under their control because you've accepted coming back knowing how bad they treated you before. This is why ideally you shouldn't go back with an ex if they treat you badly, because you're saying by accepting them back that it was okay to do what they did before. Even if you're not actually verbally saying that, you might be saying, oh, I don't want that behavior again from you. But the fact you've got back with them, if they're not a good person, they can feel like they have a hold over you. Guilt trips aren't cool in relationships or from others. No, they're not good. They're really not good at all. Guilt trips, making a person feel bad about themselves for the way they naturally are. It's all not good. Turning you go to them with an issue or problem, they either turn it around on you, or they're cold and callous with you, or cut off, shut off, or avoidant with you. They don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? All these things are really bad. It shames you. Yes. It's not good. It's you can't be stable in a relationship with someone who's up and down the whole time, and who's you go to about problems and issues in a relationship that you turn it on you. It's kind of like you have to be free to be able to state the behavior that you don't like about them, and they want to work on it with you, as well as working on it with themselves, if you know what I mean. Say, okay, how can I improve this? Right? What would need to happen for it to be better? But obviously, like, you have to tell them what would make it better. You can't just say something that makes it better for you and still at the expense of the relationship. I don't know how to describe it, what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to be reasonable. You can't, someone can't be expected to do something that's unreasonable. You know what I mean? So, for example, with my ex, one of the hugest problems is his timekeeping with our dates, right? If you're really into someone, you really love someone, and even out of respect, you turn up to a video date on time. You don't be late. And if you're going to be late, you message them. And a good solution, in my mind, is okay, you're having problems making that time, we can move the time. So you have time to finish other things and still be on time for the video call. No, flat out refuse. Right? So their suggestion was I just accept the fact they're going to be late. Right? So that isn't a solution that matches my needs. That to me is being unreliable, untrustworthy, disrespecting me, disrespecting my time. And it made me angry. And then they were like, well, I'm angry with you for being angry with me. Because you should, it's not nice you being angry with me. And you're putting time before me. They're missing the whole point. It's not about me putting time before them. I was actually eating into my own work time because I was purposely calling them at a time that suited them better, really, than me, because they did a 9-to-5 job. And so I was they wanted to do video calls more than texting because they preferred that anyway. And so I was doing that. But the time that they were doing it was a time when, I would usually be working. They did do longer calls with me than they would usually do when they were on their own, because they would usually have gone to bed or earlier when they were on their own. But at the end of the day, expecting me to just accept the fact that they turn up late, and I shouldn't mind waiting for them, that's not acceptable to me. That's a complete boundary and standard that I need to maintain, and so that isn't a good solution. Them, me offering a solution of moving the time so they can get more of their stuff done, whatever they need to do, is a good, they suggest, all right, then you can always phone me. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I should be the one phoning all the time. They should be the one phoning me. Otherwise, I'm the one that's like instigating everything. In the end, I felt like I was just like, I was the one driving the relationship forward. Of course, they said that about themselves, and I'm like, I don't feel you are. I feel I am. I'm the one who's instigating. I'm the one who's like scheduling. Next time I'm seeing you, I'm telling you, let's schedule. I'm the one who's like, agreeing with you on the video, like what time to do the video calls. He was in agreement with the time, he said, just that he thought it was fine to be late. It's not. Even though the day before once he actually messaged me to tell me he's going to be late, the next day it's like he didn't do that. So, in the very beginning, I guess I should have just, not listened to him. He was like an hour and 10 minutes late for a video call once because he fell asleep. Couldn't even set an alarm. Didn't even set an alarm, and so it's like, and then I forgave him for that because it'll never happen again. And then, he's late 2 other times. Once he told me about, the other time he didn't. And I was angry. And then he's like, oh, I'm angry that you're angry. You're disrespecting me because you're angry. It's like, I have a reason to be angry. So basically, he turned the situation on me because I said it's disrespecting me and it's disrespecting my time. He's like, oh, you're disrespecting me because you're angry. You know what I mean? So, it was not a good situation for me to be in. And one of the last things in the conversation he said to me, when he basically, like, he didn't break up with me officially, I broke up with him officially, but he made it like impossible for me to stay with him, and like he pretty much broken up with me, couldn't be asked to officially do it. And one of the last things he said, oh, you should have changed your mind about the time. Like, making out it's my fault we're not together because I should have just not cared whether he turned up late or not, and just waited for him or just phoned him all the time. You know what I mean? And it's just horrible. I just think it's disgusting behaving like that. A guy should be enthusiastic to see his girl. He should want to spend time with her. He should be like, actually phone out. He should be early rather than late, or at least on time. And if he can't make it for the girl, then he should move the time till later so he can be on time, rather than have me hanging around when I got work to do and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely ridiculous. Heather says they can. I'm not sure what contact what context they can means. Because I've said so much, I'm talking quite fast, aren't I, Heather? People need to learn what a healthy relationship is today. Oh yes, exactly. You know, they do. You know, a healthy relationship is all about caringness, compassion, understanding, mutual support, mutual respect, respecting the other person's time and valuing their worth, and wanting to spend time with them, wanting to fight each other's corner, wanting to support each other emotionally and mentally, spiritually, physically, all those type of ways. There should be consistency and persistency. They should be the same consistency over time. So yeah, it's just not good. If you have got a person who's inconsistent, who doesn't know what they want, or changes their mind what they want, or can't give you a definite answer to something and leaves you waiting, and then changes their mind on things, and then it's just like gonna stress anyone out. It's gonna stress anyone out. Unfortunately, the person's like, "Oh, why are you so stressed and anxious?" I'm not stressed and anxious. I was thinking you're the one who's like, you're the one who's not providing stability for me to be unstressed. Of course I'm going to be stressed and anxiety induced if like you've changed your behavior, you've changed your attitude. You're into me 1 minute, not into me then, like not that interested in me in the next. And like you're not messaging me as much, and a lot of the other stuff is destabilizing. It's not consistent. It's like changes, it's all changed, and you know what I mean? And disorganized. Like I can't stand disorganization. I can't, like at one time he was like, "Oh, I prioritize things in terms of urgency and importance." I said, "Oh, right. So I'm clearly not a priority then. If you're not, if you're not being called on time and you don't, you don't have any urgency there or importance, and I'm clearly not important to you, really." You know what I mean? It's like, but there was contradictions as well, lots of contradictions. And again, you can't be stable with someone who's contradictory. It just, the things just don't make sense, and you're like, what's going on? There should be clarity, honesty, consistency, openness, willing to share, willing to discuss things, willing to talk, willing to have difficult conversations, providing a safe space for each other as much as possible to have those difficult conversations. It's okay to be angry. It just depends on the way that the anger is presented. But you know what I mean? You have a right to be angry if the person's disrespecting you and your time and not valuing your worth. You know what I mean? Um, and so, yeah, stability is very important. And as I say in my diary confessions book, you can't feel stable in a relationship with someone who isn't stable, who's unstable. So if someone doesn't know what they want, and it's up and down with their emotions, wants, needs, and desires, then your relationship with them is going to be like a roller coaster of emotions and feel like it's constantly going up and down, and it's out of control because you don't know where you stand with this person and what's going on a day-to-day basis. And that is just so destabilizing, so stressful, so anxiety inducing. It's like a mind FCUK, and like, what the hell has gone on here? What's going on? So it's horrible. So I think that anyone in that situation would have anxiety, they'd have confusion, they'd have unclarification. And what I love about the Love Life Club is you hear lots of people talking about their situations, and when they say, I'm confused what this person's doing. So for example, if someone texts someone and they don't hear from them for like 3 days, and the person's like really eager in a message to meet them, and say they go on a date, and then after the date the person's not actually bothering to get back in touch, maybe they said, "I had a great date, like to see you again," and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'd like to see you again too," and then the person doesn't follow up, then that's confusing. If the person's like messaging loads one day and then you don't hear from them for 3 days, that's confusing. If a person's like really acts like they're into you, and then all of a sudden they're too busy for you, don't seem that interested. Again, that's confusing. Confusion is not something that's sustainable over a long period of time. In order to be in a healthy relationship and be happy and be stable, you need clarity. Clarity over what each of the roles are in the relationship, clarity over wants, clarity over needs, clarity over desires, clarity over the true self of the person. Because, like I said, some people can just put on a show to win you over in the beginning. And, they make out they're a certain type of person, but they're not actually that person. They're trying to tell you and behave in ways that they think you want to hear and see, and they can't keep it up. It's unsustainable for them. And therefore, when you got into a relationship with them, what you thought was the foundation of your relationship with them was actually removed because it's not actually who they were. And if someone's pretending to be something they're not, that's on them. It's not on you. Just means you're kind of a victim of it. You know what I mean? At that time. Because if they're not being their true authentic self, if they're saying they can do things and they're behaving a certain way, but really it's not who they are, that's not your fault. That's them for deceiving you and putting on a show. Like, it's very interesting because when I did have coaching last week with Matthew Hussey and his wife, I asked the question, like, how can you know what was your fault in a relationship with someone who deceived and lied, who is contradictory, and who seemingly was manipulating you in some ways? And they're like, well, you can't. It's a bad actor. He was a bad actor. You can't take the word of someone who's a bad actor. So you just can't do that. So yeah, they make a good point, because you can't take the word of someone who's not actually an honest person. If they're a liar, anything they say about you may be complete and utter lies. Anything they make you think about yourself may be utter lies. Because that's the whole point of someone who lies. They don't tell the truth. They only say what they're saying in order to make someone or people think a certain way, or to cover up what's really going on so people don't think bad of them. Dishonesty breeds dishonesty. And if you've come across a dishonest person, it's not good for you. And if you're a really honest person, then you're going to have to leave that relationship eventually because you can't stand people who lie. But the trouble is, with a really honest person who wants to forgive, we tend to be like, okay, people make mistakes, they're not perfect, so we should just like forgive them. But usually, personally, I would never forgive someone for lying. I'd be like, out the door. But I did forgive that person, But yes, that backfired on me in the end when they were lying to me. I did say, if you lie to like your best friend, you can lie to me. I mean, who lies to their best friend? I know why they did it and they logicked it out. And I thought it was reasonable, I guess. But for me personally, but I wasn't. I said I was going to say for me personally, I don't think any lie is good or reasonable. So I shouldn't have really accepted that behavior, you know? But, it wasn't done directly to me, but it was about me. So basically they were trying to keep me secret, and so they lied to their best friend about where they were going, and their best friend knew they were coming to see me because they had access to their emails. So it's just horrible, if you care about someone and love someone, why keep them a secret? It's really weird. He was okay to be on my social media, but didn't really want me on his. It's very bizarre behavior, that. Very weird. Contradictory behavior as well. Very strange. And when I asked him about it, when he did eventually put me on his Instagram, he put it on close friends only. I'm like, why? Curious, why are you doing that? He's like, oh, because some of my connections, like on their followers, aren't good, and they may say something about me. I'm like, but if you think about that now, what did he say? He said they may say something about him. What does that say about him? We'll just park that one there. But yes, so like, I love myself. I'm getting better from the fallout of the relationship, their ex departure. I'm getting to understand now that it definitely wasn't my fault. I mean, their behavior isn't my fault anyway. It's not my responsibility. There's, that I was bound to feel unstable in that type of relationship with someone who's contradictory and changing their mind and not giving me clarity and change their behavior and not matching my needs and stuff like that. And, who's not being honest. And so I still need to do work on myself. I don't just think everything was his fault, but, you know, I'm glad that I understand that he wasn't a good person for me. I still have feelings for him and I still have attraction, but I try not to think about him. I'm thinking about my future. So, you know what I mean? So what's really important to me moving forward, and what I would advise if you've, got a difficult situation or actually split from that person, or you're trying to move forward in your life, is to focus on the present and the future you want to create for yourself. So this is something that I'm doing now. So instead of focusing on the past and the relationship that's gone and the good stuff, because there was good stuff with him, it wasn't all bad. I wouldn't have stayed with him at all if everything was bad. You know what I mean? So, there was really good stuff in that. But if the reality of the situation, I wasn't happy because of all the stuff that wasn't good. And we tend to live through rose tinted glasses. So instead of focusing on the good aspects, it's better for me to focus on the realistic aspects, but also to just, realize about where I am now in my life, and the trajectory of my life is mine for the taking now. I can do whatever I want again, and I can keep growing myself and plan myself into other things. I'm not active on dating sites anymore. I've still got a Badoo account. I got my premium account back for that. I did quickly flick on there earlier just to check the account was still there, and then went off it again. And so yeah, I'm glad that I'm not doing dating anymore for the foreseeable future. I'm glad that I'm just spending time by myself trying to catch up on all the things that I haven't been able to get done because I have been a bit of a upset person in recent weeks, has found it difficult emotionally to process things and move on. Partly because they made me think it was my fault, which is not my fault for their behavior. And so yeah, I feel I'm moving forward more at the moment. I feel by focusing on the present and the future and creating a life I love again, and getting on with decluttering my home and moving forward in my life. I'm currently working on a media press kit, for example, a shorter one for the experts bureau that I'm in. I had, there's coaching earlier, Love Life Club. I had training, more speaker training yesterday, because I've got quite a lot of stuff to occupy my mind and to push myself forward career wise and also personal development wise. I just think, I've got a lot more to look forward to now, and I'm focusing on being very present and the future. So I'm trying to just think present moment, future, and live in the present, which is something I haven't been able to do very much in the past. But I try to just take in things like the noises of the birds outside. When I'm in the shower, I try to focus on the water, the sound of the water. I feel more calmer in myself. I'm able to stay in my home more than I could before. I'm feeling more comfortable in here than I did, because obviously I had a lot of memories of him in it, but I am decluttering. I've changed some stuff around the layout of it, and that's really helping. So I'm finding there are things that are helping stabilize myself again. So what I would say is, if you've been in a relationship with an unstable person and the whole relationship became unstable and insecure in the end, that is very difficult to deal with, because you've got the love feelings for the person still. What the hell happened? Confusion as to, was it your, especially if you're a person who is a good person, is a kind and honest person, you'll automatically probably think, is it my fault? What did I do wrong? A person who's not got the best intentions for someone won't blame themselves. They won't think it's anything to do with them. You know, they won't care. But if you're a genuine, kind, caring, honest person, you love that person, you'll be like, what happened? What did I do? Like, what went wrong? What did I do? What was my fault? You know what I mean? Because you will want to improve yourself, you know? There's a key difference there. But when you are upset, you're in emotional turmoil, your life can feel unstable for yourself and out of control. So we have to try to take some action to make ourselves as stable as possible again after a very destabilizing relationship, whether that was a friendship end or a romantic relationship. And you know, when we are emotionally attached to someone, it does destabilize us if they like just the way things can end sometimes, if they've deceived you or lied to you. It's like pulling the wig, pulling the rug from underneath your feet. And so you're like, whoosh, you didn't expect to happen. It's like shocking you. It's a bit traumatic, or can be very traumatic, you know? And so we have to find ways to stabilize our own emotions again, which can be hard if they're still attached to the other person. So by being present and focusing on the future, your attachment for your ex is either watered down, or you're not consciously thinking about it. It's not present like it used to be. And the more you create your current circumstances, you create a future for yourself, the more you focus on creation rather than living in the old story with them, the more you'll feel good about yourself, because it's empowering. So the more you can do for yourself to make yourself feel good and stable and strong, the more empowering it is. I listen to Bob Baker. If you Google Bob Baker affirmations on YouTube, his positive affirmations are amazing. They do reprogram the mind. So I make it a practice every day to listen to his affirmations. So he's got some songs on there. He's got positive affirmation songs. So I was doing housework today, which really hurt my back. I've got a back injury. I shouldn't really be doing it, but I had to do it. There's no one else to do it. So I was upstairs, I had the music playing on really loudly, and there's like affirmations but in a song. But that's really good because the tune kind of gets in your head. It can be a little bit much because it'd be like, oh my god, we're repeating the same thing over and over again. And you know, like it goes on for a long time. But you know, it does get in your head, like I'm strong, I'm capable, you know what I mean? I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and it goes around like this. So I find that I'm doing a lot of things to help myself to become stronger and more stable in myself. I think, you know, you have to give yourself patience, time, and grace when you come out of a relationship with someone who was making you feel unstable in the relationship, who is being inconsistent, chopping and changing their mind, wouldn't give you a direct answer, would shut down. You know, all those things create an unstable, insecure mess, and it does bring about anxiety and confusion and worry. And that's not your fault if you haven't changed your behavior. If that's the behavior they're displaying, then that's going to be hard on you. And when we split up with someone, if we love them, we still have attachment there. And it's very destabilizing because they were our kind of like center of our world for a while. You know what I mean? Especially in romantic relationships. But obviously, some people have really close friendships where they even live together in the same house, you know? So if you've lived in the same place as someone, do you know what I mean, for a long period of time, then all of a sudden their behavior and attitude changes and they become contradictory, and the future with them is uncertain. You don't know where you stand in your friendship. That can be just as destabilizing as a romantic relationship, you know, because it's all about change, but unexpected change. It's about a change you didn't want. And when you're forced to undergo a change you didn't want, it's very destabilizing. And it's going to take you a while to find your center, to find your ground, to find your space, to find yourself again. And I think you have to be very patient with yourself. You have to understand there's a grieving process for the love or friendship that you lost. And it's going to take you a while to be strong again on your own, because you know you've been attached to them and they've been a part of your life, and that part of your life is just gone without warning, if it has, or it's not been stable for a long time, therefore you might feel disassociated from yourself. If that person was a big focus on your life, it was an intense relationship, when they leave your life it can feel horrendous, because you're like, that was like a main part of your life. You were like wired to that person. So you kind of have to rewire yourself to be happy being single again and to be on your own and to live a happier, healthy life by yourself. And it's a mindset shift, it's a lifestyle shift, it's a practical shift, it's a shift in your own behavior and attitude towards yourself again. It's accepting the fact that that person's gone, and that's hard, especially if they're still alive. You know, some people lose their partners because, you know, their partner dies and stuff. But if that person's still alive, you've got to grieve for someone who's still technically in life, but they're not in your life anymore. So you have to remember that, and you have to build and create something new for yourself in your own life. So your life probably will, if it's a really, I was going to say your life probably will never be the same again exactly, but then you don't want it to be the same exactly because you don't want to be in that unstable position. You want to be moving forward in your life. So like I said, the best thing to do is create your new life, how you see it. So that can be doing things that you've always done that brings you joy and happiness and that makes you feel good. The more stuff you do that makes you feel good, the better. But it can also be injecting new positive things into your life that make your life feel more vibrant and special, that get you away from the same kind of monotonous or everyday situation you were in with your ex. If you can do something different, even if it's just one change that you can make, then your life can start feeling different without them in it. Because if we remain the same and we feel the same as when they were in it, then the feelings for them remain the same, if you know what I mean, because your situation doesn't feel like it's changed. But the situation has changed just for the pure fact they're not with you anymore. You're not with them. And so it's like we're grieving after the ghost of who they were, not who they might even be now. You know, they might be with someone else right now. They might be in another relationship quite quickly. It's not what I personally advise. But you know what I mean? Some people, they're very focused on themselves and getting their next excitement fix. Remember I said that the unstable person, you know, they like the roller coaster of emotions. They love the chase. They love the excitement in the beginning, but they can't maintain and sustain a healthy relationship in the long term. They like the excitement. They like the buzz. Maybe their life was boring before, and they like the fantasy more than the reality. So they're all like in at the beginning. They're all into you. They're all saying the right things, doing the right things. And then when they've got you and life's tougher and the reality sets in, and it's not all moonlight and roses, and you have to deal with difficult scenarios and situations and conversations, they want to flee. They don't want to be with you anymore. So some people just do like the chase. They like the excitement. They like that bit at the beginning, and they don't want anything stable and secure because they're not stable and secure in themselves. They don't know what the hell they want a lot of the time. So you have to bear all this in mind, and you have to be very gentle, kind, and caring with yourself, and know that you're not responsible for someone else's behavior, right? If we go and we look at this quote again, you know, Diary Confessions book. Life lesson 24, any type of relationship requires teamwork. I want to stress this again. You can't work together in any type of relationship as a team for that. Be that a friendship or romantic relationship where only one player is playing in that team and doing all the work or the majority of it. Don't forget, grab your copy of Diary Confessions to get 78 life lessons, including these. And it's true, you can't work as a team if only one of you is playing. Do you know what I mean? Because really, you're just playing on your own. And so that's not going to last. It's not going to be a healthy relationship. It's just going to be one side, it's going to feel draining, like you're doing all the work. Eventually, you're going to get fed up with it. You're going to just feel like the person's taking advantage of you. And you're just going to be like, why am I putting all this time, energy, and effort in? It's draining. And you're just going to feel unappreciated. You're going to feel uncherished, unloved, and unadored, which is the opposite to love. Love should make you feel cherished, adored, loved. And that person should be enthusiastic to see you, not just in the beginning, but always. They should want to see you and spend time with you and be keen on you, you know? Otherwise, what is going on? Ask yourself that and ask them that. If they can't provide an answer, it might be time to split up and part ways, you know? So always look for stability, look for how they behave compared to what they say. If someone says they love you, but they're not really bothering with you, they're not super interested in you. Like if someone says, "Oh, I'm really interested in you," yet they're looking out the window and around at other people, their behavior doesn't match their words. If they're saying, "I'm super into you," but you know, and they used to text you throughout the day, for example, and then they don't bother, or they might send you one morning text just going, "Oh, hi, love you," and that's it, with no additional comments. Like, it's a minimal effort guy. Could be any gender, minimal effort person. When they just say the basics in a text message and they're going through the motions, they're just saying it like out of routine. Of course, it's nice to get the text still where someone says, "Oh, I'm missing you," or "I love you." It's better than nothing, but it shouldn't be the thing, right? That should be like the rare case where they're really busy that they don't have time to text you much. It shouldn't be like regularly. The regular should be consistent, you know, in their messaging, in their communication, in how you usually communicate. If it's not consistent and something's changed, but they're meant to be still into you that much, then they can't really be into you that much, can they? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they might have changed jobs or things might have happened, but they still should be endeavoring to message you. I mean, they go to the toilet, don't they, in their day? They can go in the toilet and they can message you. You know what I mean? If they're just like not bothering, they can message you in the toilet. They can take a break if they owed a break. If they go by bus or train, they can be texting you on the bus or train when they go to work or on the way back from work. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone's on an hour and a half trip to work and they're like, "Oh, I didn't have time to message you this morning before I left the house." Well, maybe they didn't have time before they left the house, but when they got on the train or the bus, of course they could have texted you. If they're around there, they got an hour and a half like commute, they can be messaging you, can't they? They can be at least sending you a few messages, right? And similarly, if they're going back on the train or bus, why can't they text you in that time? If they're that into you, if they like you that much, if they want to speak to you, there's no reason why they can't do that. If they're not doing that, why? If they're just trying to fit all their text messaging in work time when actually they're meant to be working, are they just Skyping? It sounds fake to me. Thank you, Heather. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, we need to be thinking like the bigger picture. What are they saying and what are they doing? And is what they're saying congruent with their actual lifestyle, the way they're meant to be thinking and feeling about you? Do you know what I mean? Like, if a guy says he's got no time to message you, but yet clearly there's times in the day when he could be messaging you, why the hell isn't he? You know what I mean? He can't message you all the time. He's got friends and family and other things, but he should be telling you, "Hey, couldn't message you this morning because I like, you know, I was doing this, that, and the other or something." When they say I love you on the text, oh, I think if they say they love you in the text and then they show that through actions, yes. But if they say they love you in text, but they don't show the actions to match that, then yes, it's likely fake, unfortunately. Which is why that's so bad, because the end of the relationship, my ex, he actually messaged that on Facebook Messenger before he completely like deleted his profile so we could no longer be connected on there, which was basically the end of our relationship. It wasn't fully over because he phoned me twice after that, and I had to officially end it by text the next day. So yeah, but yeah, it's basically fake because he's like, "Oh, I love you," but you clearly he didn't. Like, not a proper love anyway, you know? Like, how can you write that and then just lie? He was lying. He admitted he can lie to me in the end. I'm like, you know, just lying. You can lie to me. It's like, yeah. So yeah, it's horrible. So, and he was trying to convince me that words are more important than actions. I'm like, no, the words and action. This is actually a conversation I was having with him. I'm like, no, words and actions both have to match. They both have to match. You know, so this was not a good person in the end for me. So, you know, you have to watch what they say, and does their actions match their words? And does it their actions consistently match their words, you know? And look through patterns of behavior, like, is it the same, similar, or do they change? Have they completely gone from being super into you to being aloof, or super into you to being cold and distant? Like, what's gone on? Right? So we have to also know about attachment styles. And if we can try and figure out someone's attachment style and love language as soon as possible, early on in the connection, it does help. You know, unfortunately, avoidant type of person can be really kind and caring and act like they're super into you in the beginning. And then when you accept them and you become their partner and you are at your fullest in love with them, that's when they can change, become cold and distant, and then they can, like, put distance between you, because they basically push you away, and it's horrible. They avoid getting too serious. So if you start getting serious and loving them back just as much, which should happen in a healthy relationship, right? But if you start loving them and getting really close to them, and be progressing together a future, then even if they said about a future in the beginning and they're all up for it, but then they change their mind and decide instead to push you away, then that's like an avoidant type of personality, because they don't want to get close to someone. Getting close to someone scares them, so they'll more likely split up with you before you can split up with them. And they do change their behavior and go from really kind, caring, loving to distant, standoffish, cold, not messaging as much, not shutting down, not wanting to talk about things. But you can't have a healthy relationship with someone like that. People can work on their attachment styles to improve them, but it needs awareness of the attachment style and what the behaviors are in order to change it. And if the person's not willing to change it, and it's not acceptable to you, then it's no good for you, is it? So I think you need to look at the situation as a whole. And we need to be thinking like stability is all about consistency, persistency, honesty, reliability, trustworthiness, saying what we meaning what we say, and also the other person doing that, and looking for their actions to match their words and words to match the actions, and looking for good qualities in them, like kindness and caringness and thoughtfulness, but not just in the beginning, over a period of time. Unfortunately, so many people put on masks, and when the mask drops off, you can have a rude awakening. And if someone's mask drops off and they were using a mask, it's not your fault. If they deceived you, it's not your fault, even though it might feel like it is. It's not your fault, right? That's on them for their behavior and their deception, not you. And so give yourself some love and care. If you've been in a relationship with an unstable person, know that they've got work to do on themselves. If they don't do the work on themselves to improve themselves, then that's on them. They're just going to take their bad habits, the characteristic traits that didn't work with you, they're going to take that to a new relationship. And so a lot of the time, they're still going to have the same problems they had with you in a new relationship. And they're probably still going to blame the other person until they stop blaming the other person and think, hang on, I've actually got work to do on myself. I mean, even though I'm saying like this stuff about my ex, right, I'm still not blaming him for the whole failure of the relationship. I'm still taking responsibility for the fact that, yes, I ignored red flags. I forgave him for lying when I wouldn't usually do that. I agreed to the relationship quickly. I've got issues that I need to work on myself from my past. So, people need to do work on themselves to improve themselves and make themselves better for a future relationship, a future partner, and for themselves in general. Everyone needs to be working on themselves in life. And if they don't, they'll just stay the same and repeat the same things until they do eventually change. But anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, and insightful. If you have, please pop a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and grab a copy of Diary Confessions book. It's good to have all these 78 life lessons. So you got 2 tonight and there's 76 more. And don't forget to grab a copy of Asexual Perspectives while you're there. Get these 2 now. And you can go to Amazon and get them. I'll see you soon next video live stream. Lots of love. Thank you so much, Heather, for being in chat tonight. And thanks, Liam. And thanks to everyone else that's been in chat. Appreciate you. Lots of love. Take care. And see you soon. Thank you for your support, Heather and Liam. Lots of love. Thank you, everyone. Bye.